everyone, and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host, Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death, and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. So joining me today is a very, very special young lady, Leah Denbok. Hello, Leah.
Hi.
I actually was given your name by my producer's husband. Said you need to connect with this amazing young girl, and young lady, and as soon as I started reading about what your mission and purpose is in life, I am in complete awe of what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So in one word, one thing you do, and you do so many things, but you photograph and hear stories from homeless people, which it just kind of takes my breath away even saying that. So I'd love to hear how you're 18 years old?
Yeah.
My goodness. How does someone who's 18 years old take it upon themselves to take photos and hear the stories from people whose lives have obviously gone terribly wrong in some way and they are homeless? How did this all come about?
At first I was just trying to think of ways to broaden my portfolio in portraiture.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't really had the goal in mind that I came to after time, but so I was just photographing people experiencing homelessness, and then I sort of realized like the reality of homelessness and how stereotyped these people really are.
Mm-hmm.
But also like how kind these people are, and we never really realize these things. We always hear such negative things about them. So I wanted to not only change the general public's perception of homelessness, but also to shine a spotlight on the problem of homelessness, because it often becomes like invisible to us, seeing people on the streets. So after taking photographs, then I realized it's important to record the stories as well. And then after time of accumulating the stories and photographs, it just made sense to make a book series.
So yes, a book series. And like you're saying book series, and I'm sorry, how many, you've written books, and I have a couple of copies here.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is called Nowhere to Call Home. And
volume 1 and 2.
Yes, volume 1 and 2, with these heart-wrenching pictures. So you were on volume 4?
Yes, yeah. So volume 1 came out last year. Volume 2 just came out this past month. Volume 3 will be out in 2019, and volume 4 is in the works right now.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this, because I've written one book and it'll take me forever to read it. It's it's all consuming, and to hear these stories. Where do you go? Like, how do you approach people to say, you can't just say, "Hi, you look homeless. Can I hear your story?" How do you approach people? How does that work?
So to answer your first question, where we've gone. So for the first and second book, they're based in just North America.
Okay.
But then for the third and fourth book, it's North America and Australia. And then with subsequent volumes, we're hoping to make them more diverse as well.
So you're traveling, and when you say we, who are you traveling with?
Sorry, yes. My father comes with me. He helps me record the stories while I take the photographs.
Way to go, Dad. What an amazing dad. That's incredible that he is supporting you. I mean, supporting you obviously in this way, but so how do you approach people? How do you, how does that happen?
So we'll just walk up to individuals just on the street, just say, "Hi, how are you doing?" We try to be as polite as possible.
Yes.
Make eye contact, shake their hands. Then we explain to them we're working on a book series with the goals of humanizing the homeless, trying to spotlight on the problem of homelessness. We tell them 100% of the profits of the books go back to homeless shelters, and ask if they would like to be a part of it. And then we offer to pay them $10 for modeling for me as well.
So I'm going to 100% of the proceeds go to help
the homeless.
The homeless, so 100%. And wow, and then just seriously, I'm choking up. This is so incredible. So the small things that you're saying are so important. You approach them with respect, kindness, make eye contact, shake their hand, and I have to believe that most of those people are invisible to the general public.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're willing and wanting to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we found it very surprising why it is that they're they're so willing to tell their stories. And,
Yes.
and like the graphic things that have happened in their childhood, the things that led them being on the streets, like their spouse dying, their child dying, like being taken advantage of as a child, things like that. And we're just like so awestruck why they're telling us these things. Like, we're complete strangers. We've only
Yes.
met them in
Yes.
5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be gone again. But we sort of were thinking into it, and we came to realize, first, it's for posterity's sake, because they know that they could be in the book and they don't want to just be forgotten on the streets.
Yeah.
And secondly, just because people don't realize that they're there often, they don't stop and talk to them. So we could be the first people that really take the time to look into their eyes, ask them about their story in a really long time. And people have even said to us, "Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me." No one does.
No one does. Well, I'm glad I looked on your website and at some of the pictures, and I'm glad I did it last night, because I had to have a really good cry because it's terribly sad that, again, we live in a society, North America, where there's so much waste and overconsumption, and we live in houses where we don't use a lot of the rooms. We have so many clothes we don't wear. We throw out food because it just, we forget it's in the fridge. And there's millions of people everywhere that literally live on the street for so many different reasons, right?
And it's not even far away. It's like right outside our window.
It is right outside our window. And when you talk about invisible homelessness, many people are experiencing even couch surfing because they have nowhere to actually hang their pictures. They don't even have pictures. And when you say it's because sometimes they've had a spouse die or a child die, and then they had nowhere to go, or what was the sequence of events like that they ended up on the street?
Yeah, we found that there's some root causes that are the same in everywhere we've gone, from North America to Australia, and they're very diverse, which makes it a very complex issue and very hard to solve. Some of the issues are mental health.
Yes.
Lack of affordable housing is a huge one, which people often don't realize. Family dysfunction, especially among young people. Family tragedy, like losing a spouse and such. And just there's a couple more, but as you can tell, it's a very hard thing to solve, of course, because there's just so many things that could contribute to someone being on the street.
Yes.
Really could happen to anybody.
Yes. So when you're approaching people, do you ever feel unsafe? Do you feel, you have your dad with you, right? Which I think is a very wise thing. Do you feel unsafe? Have you ever been in an unsafe situation?
There's definitely times we've been in unsafe situations, but on a general basis, I don't feel as though my safety is hindered in any way.
Okay.
Just the odd time where we go into that back alley with like a group of people, and
yes, the back alley might not
but otherwise it's good.
a good idea. Like, I still, I have to just wrap my head around the fact that you are 18 years old. Most 18-year-olds are just worried about their next date, or maybe passing school, or when the next party is. How did you must be a very old soul, or so, like, how did you become this so wise and such a young person?
I'm not sure if I can answer that very well, but I think just doing the work that I do. Because when I first started, I didn't have a positive look on homelessness.
Okay.
I really didn't understand homelessness, because where I come from, homelessness is very hidden. As you said, it's a lot of couch surfing, sleeping in cars, and stuff
where's
like
that? Where?
In Collingwood.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a smaller city, so not as much. But then when I was going to Toronto, all of a sudden I was seeing homelessness, but I never understood it. And then the only things we hear about homelessness is that they choose to be there, they're drug addicts, they're lazy, and they're dangerous,
Yes.
all of which often aren't true. So I always had a very negative perception of homelessness, and then when my dad said, "Oh, let's go to Toronto and photograph some people experiencing homelessness," I was like, "No, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, I don't want to talk to these people." And especially I'm shy, so approaching strangers on the street seemed daunting.
Yes, absolutely.
But he talked me into it, and then really after that first experience, I just began to realize, like, all of these stereotypes aren't true, which is the case with most stereotypes. They're just not true until you really go out there and speak to these people. You don't realize the truth of why they're there.
Of course. Well, and it's like anything, really. You're going to have people who are kind that are homeless. You're going to have people who maybe aren't very nice. I mean, that's in every sector of society. That's just the truth. But what you've given them is the opportunity to share their story and to be treated with respect. And I think that is an incredibly extraordinary gift. And the other thing that you are shining a light on is the fact that we can all make a difference. You're 18 years old. You're not giving millions of dollars. You don't have to, devote your whole life, but you're just doing something that is incredibly kind and giving them a priceless gift. By being included in your book, you're just honoring them so wonderfully. It's truly extraordinary. And I know that you had an art exhibit of your photographs in Newmarket, did you?
Yes.
So was that the first time you had an exhibit?
No, it's like the 16th, I think.
The 16th time you've had an exhibit. Wow.
It was the nicest one, though.
Yes.
It was. They just redid the gallery there, so the Circuit Gallery. It's very beautiful. A big open white space. It was really nice.
Wow, and so it was very well received.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes.
There was a film festival going on at the same time, so we had thousands of people coming through.
Oh my goodness!
It was great.
Oh, how fantastic!
Yeah.
Well, and I know the town of Newmarket people were saying that your exhibit was selected because it had such a strong and powerful storytelling element, which was perfect to be playing at the same time as the festival, and they love including supporting and nurturing up and coming artists. More than 2,000 people visited the exhibit, and I heard that there was someone very special that was
the Lieutenant Governor General came.
Yes, and was very impressed.
Yeah,
that's extraordinary. Yes. Now I read another part of your story as well. Share the extraordinary story with your mom.
Yes. So my mom she was found on the streets of Kolkata, India, at the age of 3, like severely wounded.
She was just on the street, abandoned.
Yeah. And then usually in India, it's pretty common for girls to be abandoned there because they have a system there called the dowry system, where if your daughter gets married, you have to give 10 years' wages to the husband's family. But so they usually just get rid of their daughters to avoid this because that's a lot of money to give away.
My goodness!
So the women the girls are often just abandoned at a young age or just aborted. So my mom was probably just abandoned. We don't know for sure, but just because she was so severely wounded to the head and on the street at 3. So normally they're just left on the street to die. But just because she was so wounded, a police officer took pity on her and brought her to Mother Teresa's orphanage, where she was raised until the age of 5, when she was adopted to Stayner, Ontario, by a family.
She went from dying on the street and to living with Mother Teresa.
Yes.
The Mother Teresa, the one that one of the greatest human beings in the whole entire world. And then she ended up in Stayner.
Yeah.
That you can't even make up a story like that.
Yeah.
It just seems so wow. So please tell me that doesn't still go on in India.
I believe it does, honestly.
Okay, well, we would need a whole other show to talk about that. Oh my goodness. So looking back at what your mother went through, she experienced homelessness as an infant, as a toddler. And so how does she feel about what you're doing now?
She's beyond proud. Yeah,
oh my goodness.
She's always very supportive and it's interesting from her perspective of being homeless and then seeing how I'm humanizing the homeless as well. But also, Mother Teresa has really impacted the work I do. For example, the quote by Mother Teresa, "If you judge people, you don't have time to love them," as one that my dad and I have based the work we do on that
Yes.
motto. But I've always grown up knowing the work Mother Teresa did with the homeless and the way my mom was adopted, and we have letters from Mother Teresa and her photos in the house and stuff like that. So definitely she has impacted the work I do, though possibly only on a subconscious level. It's not the root reason that I began. But if Mother Teresa hadn't cared for the homeless, I wouldn't be alive. So
that's right.
I kind of owe my life to her in a way.
Wow, I can't stop. I'm just, this is so incredible, truly, Leah. Like you are looking at everything your mother's been through. You're giving a voice to homeless people. You have these incredible books and your art. And what would your, if you had, what would your greatest goal with all of this be?
Well, overall, we want to change the general public's perception of homelessness.
Yes.
And these books, I could be doing them the rest of my life because this could be a lifelong goal. It's definitely not going to be easy to achieve, but I think once we change the general public's perception of homelessness will no longer be there because people won't be able to walk by them on the street and just leave them out there. Once we've finally come to realize these are just human beings.
They're human beings.
They're no different than us.
Well, the problem is, as in many things in our society, there are many things that need to be fixed. There are many wonderful things, but this is clearly one of them, that we've normalized seeing people lying face down on the street, and we've normalized, going around them with our $7 double latte, whatever, and we've normalized that that's just how some people live. And it's not okay for anyone to feel abandoned, to feel alone, we can't force people to change, but imagine if every person said good morning, or if every person at least acknowledged, said hello. That's the thing, people are so afraid to do or say the wrong thing or start something, but a little kindness goes a long way, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. They've said to us, like, it means more to me that you would look into my eyes and ask me how I am, as opposed to just throwing some coins at me and just walking by. Because then they just feel like they're not human at that point. And even though you're giving them money, you're not even taking the time to look at them. It's more like they're just an animal you're just throwing at them. Like it means so much to them, the eye contact and talking to them.
Just having even a minute conversation. I think this is I just want to repeat that because I want everybody out there listening, when you see someone on the street homeless, and yes, to just walk by and not even think, oh geez, I'll just throw a couple coins their way and hopefully they don't talk to me or want more. And you're saying it actually means more. They've verbalized that it means more to make that eye contact, and because and to ask maybe, or say hello.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you feeling today, or anything. And you don't have to take an hour, but I bet you a couple of minutes would make all the difference, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness, I want to go on the road with you, and because this is just such important work, and again, because we can all make a difference, right? We can all make a difference. So will your displays, can you go to high schools? Wouldn't that be a good place to go?
To exhibit?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually have.
Have you? And how did people react to your display there?
It's hard to completely tell because they're not going to come up to me and say anything. But from what I could tell, just like from faculty and just sort of hearing in the halls, like people really loved it, and people just kind of were blown away. It's like those are homeless people, like, because you never really take the time to look at them or even to notice them there, and people are often shocked. It's like, oh, that person's homeless. Anybody could be homeless. Like,
this could happen to anyone, and that, right? If they don't have a circle of support, where I know I'm very lucky. If we were in dire straits financially, I have family I could depend on to help us. Not everyone has that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they wanted this. It doesn't mean they messed up their own lives. It just could be the reality of their life. They did not have anyone to count on.
Definitely.
Right?
And there's statistics, they say now, that we're all about 2 paychecks away from being homeless, a lot of us. And like you said, yeah, if we don't have family, if we don't have friends to support us, there's people that just fall through the cracks, right?
Right. Are there any stories in here? I'd love you to just share. Is there any story that you can share with us that really touches your heart? I mean, I'm sure they all do, but one that you could share?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll share Lucy, who's on the cover of the first book.
So this is Lucy here.
So Lucy is a young woman that we met. She's just a couple years older than myself, which always makes it harder because I know the potential that she has. So we met her about 4 years ago, but we've kept in contact with her since.
Oh, you have? How
and Lucy told us that she always had big dreams of becoming a writer because she liked journaling and writing short stories and stuff like that. But at the age of 14, she became addicted to opioids. And since then, it's taken over her life. Yeah, 14.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
and she told us that sadly she can't pursue her dreams anymore just because her drug addiction has gradually completely taken over her life. And she said that she's always struggled to sleep on the streets. She's never been able to adjust. So she can't sleep through the night or anything like that because she just can't sleep like on the street, which is interesting to think about. We don't really think about like these people sometimes can adjust to just sleeping on the sidewalk. They're up all night because that's horrible. Like it's freezing cold and you're out in the elements and stuff like that. I think the saddest part is just knowing that like she's a really beautiful woman, as you can tell, and she had so much potential, and she's just so young that she could have maybe been a great writer or something.
Absolutely.
But you never know, just because of her addiction and what brought her to being on the streets. And since then, we've run into her. The second time we ran into her, we were really worried about her. She was sleeping on a cardboard box in the middle of the street, and people were just walking by her. And although she's in her 20s, she looked as though she could be 80.
Wow.
She was just in such bad shape. And my dad said to me, I don't know if she's going to make it through the winter, which was hard for us to go through that winter wondering, where is Lucy tonight? Like, it's a snowstorm and stuff like that. But then we ran into her again, and she was doing better. And since then, she's actually gotten housing, and she's doing good. But she, unfortunately, is still addicted to opioids. But it's an interesting story just because we have been able to keep in contact with her. And just last week, actually, our boyfriend told us that she's in the hospital now. So we're like worried about her again. But yeah, so there are some people, fortunately, we could stay in contact with, like Lucy, and we could give her a copy of the book. And she was just ecstatic and like jumping up and down. I'm on the cover of the book.
Oh my goodness, what a great gift you've given her.
Definitely. And then something the most interesting is her boyfriend told us last week that us giving her the book and putting her on the cover made her feel human for the first time in her life.
I told you not to make me cry on my show.
Yeah, that was a hard hitter for us as well. Yeah, to get that kind of feedback back.
That's so sad. It is. It's really sad because, again, right? People, you said, just walking by. And yes, you have to put this now. I told you I'm an ugly crier, so I can't cry on the show. To make her feel human again. So you've given her that great gift. And I think that we have touched upon so many incredible things. Young people can make a difference. You can make a difference just by making eye contact with someone, saying hello, treating them with a little respect. And I think that this is a great, well, it's an incredible message for people everywhere. And I want everybody in the world to buy your books. I'm telling you, you need to buy these books. How do people connect with you? How do people see your art or find out what's going on and buy your books?
So I have a book website you can buy the books on. It's just my first and last name, leahdenbok.com.
Okay.
And then I have a website just for my personal photography, which is just ldenbokphotography.com, and you can get all the gallery of my work and then my media and contact information as well.
Yes. Yeah. I am just, you are so incredible, and I really want to hug you so bad right now. And you're also, besides this, you're also in school full-time for photography.
Yes.
So do you see yourself continuing down this road and just traveling the world and sharing your message?
Definitely, yeah. My life goal is to travel the world and shine a spotlight on things that aren't being noticed.
Wow. Well, I have no doubt that you will do that. You are already at age 18 as a student, with everything you've already done, you are making a tremendous difference. And I'm sure anybody out there that would like to support you needs to go to your website and follow your journey, buy your book, and whenever you have an art exhibit, I cannot wait. Do you have an art exhibit regularly? Like, do you have them? Okay, so, and they'll be on the website, right?
Yes.
Because I need to come and see these pictures, and then I can have a good cry when I'm not on camera. But we can make a difference, so, right? We can make a difference, and sometimes a little kindness goes a long way.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything that you are doing, you and your dad and your mom, and it's incredible. I know that we're going to stay connected.
Thanks for having me on the show as well.
So it is my honor. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Life Talks. This is about learning how to just show up for yourself and just show up for others, and sometimes having hard conversations. So if you want to be empowered and resilient, if you want to be able to just show up for yourself and for others, my call to action as always is plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks. Bye for now.